Have you ever asked yourself, which Star Trek show or movie is the absolute best? Or maybe, what's the worst Star Trek ever made? Well, you're not alone. With over a dozen shows and dozens of films, the Star Trek universe is massive. It spans across decades, generations, timelines, and even alternate realities. But in 2025, with so many new spin-offs, finales, and upcoming releases, it's time to finally sit down and rank them all from best to worst. This isn't just a list. It's a journey through time, space, and storytelling. Whether you're a hardcore Trekkie or just curious where to start, this video will help you see Star Trek like never before. Let's dive into the full ranking of every major Star Trek series and film as of 2025. Some of these you'll agree with, others might surprise you, but all of them helped shape one of the greatest sci-fi franchises of all time. The Star Trek story begins all the way back in 1966. A modest little show, starring William Shatner as Captain James T. Kirk and Leonard Nimoy as Spock, aired on television. It was called simply Star Trek, and nobody knew what kind of legacy it would leave behind. That original series, with its colorful sets, bold moral themes, and imaginative aliens, laid the groundwork for everything that came after. Even though it only lasted 3 seasons, it built a fandom that refused to let it die. And that passion led to movies, reboots, prequels, sequels, and entirely new crews. When we talk about ranking, it's not just about nostalgia. It's about storytelling, character growth, impact, visuals, and how each show or film added something special or not so special to the Star Trek universe. Let's talk about the golden era of Star Trek, the late 80s and early 90s. This was the time when Star Trek: The Next Generation came along. Led by Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, this series redefined what Star Trek could be. It was deeper, more philosophical, and more polished. The storytelling reached new heights, and many episodes are still considered some of the best sci-fi writing on television. Following that came Deep Space Nine. At first, it felt different. It was darker. It didn't take place on a starship. It focused on war, politics, religion, and moral conflict in a way no Trek series had before. Some fans were unsure at first, but over time, Deep Space Nine gained a reputation as possibly the best written Star Trek show ever. Then there was Voyager, the series that brought us Captain Janeway, the first female lead in a Trek show. With the crew stranded on the other side of the galaxy, Voyager focused on survival, exploration, and the long journey home. It was full of highs and lows, but had a dedicated fan base. Later came Enterprise, a prequel set before the time of Kirk and Spock. It had great moments, but also struggled to find its identity, especially in its early seasons. In the 2000s, Trek entered a strange phase. The classic shows had ended. The movies were slowing down. Then in 2009, everything changed. J.J. Abrams rebooted the Star Trek universe with a brand new cast, new timeline, and modern action style. The 2009 film Star Trek was a hit. It brought in new fans and reminded the world how cool Trek could be. But not all fans were happy. Some felt it lost the deeper, thoughtful core of Star Trek and turned it into just another action franchise. The sequels, Into Darkness and Beyond, divided fans even more. Some loved the visual effects and energy. Others missed the philosophy and heart. The movie era left the Trek fandom in a strange place, split between those who loved the old and those excited for the new. Then came the streaming era, and Star Trek was reborn again. Star Trek Discovery launched in 2017 and brought a whole new style. It was darker, more serialized, and focused on character drama and war. At first, many fans struggled with the tone. It didn't feel like classic Trek. But over time, the show evolved, especially as it jumped far into the future in later seasons. Star Trek Picard brought back the legendary Jean-Luc Picard, but in a totally different way. This was a slower, more emotional show that explored aging, regret, and legacy. Season 3, which reunited much of the old Next Generation crew, was widely praised and gave fans a beautiful ending. Then came the surprise hit, Strange New Worlds. Set just before the time of Kirk, This show brought back episodic storytelling, adventure, and optimism. With Anson Mount as Captain Pike and Ethan Peck as Spock, Strange New Worlds feels like the perfect mix of old and new Trek, and many fans call it the best modern Star Trek series so far. Let's not forget Lower Decks, an animated comedy that pokes fun at Trek while still being deeply respectful to it. At first glance, it might seem silly or cartoonish, but it's actually packed with lore, references, and clever storytelling. As of 2025, Lower Decks has completed its run, leaving behind a unique mark on the franchise. Another animated series, Prodigy, was aimed at younger audiences. But don't be fooled, this show had real emotional depth and stunning visuals. It followed a group of teens who find a lost Starfleet ship and learn about the values of the Federation. It introduced new fans to Star Trek in a fun, exciting way. And now, in 2025, Star Trek is expanding again with new content. The much-anticipated Starfleet Academy series is in development, set to explore life as a young cadet learning the ways of Starfleet. Fans are also buzzing about a possible new series called Year One, which might follow Captain Kirk in his early command years. With all of that in mind, how do we rank it all? What truly deserves to be called the best, and what falls to the bottom? Let's start from the top. Many fans and critics agree that Star Trek, The Next Generation, deserves one of the top spots. It took the foundation of the original and made it even better, smarter, richer, and more meaningful. Captain Picard's leadership, Data's search for humanity, and the show's thoughtful storytelling continue to inspire audiences even today. Close behind, Deep Space Nine is often praised for being ahead of its time. It dared to tell long, complex stories in a serialized format years before that became common on TV. It had deep characters like Sisko, Kira, and Odo, and explored war, sacrifice, and moral gray areas in ways no other Trek had done. Strange New Worlds has quickly earned its place near the top. It brought back the fun and adventure of classic Trek, while adding modern polish and emotional depth. In just a few seasons, it's reminded fans why they fell in love with the franchise in the first place. The original series, of course, must be honored. Without it, none of this would exist. It's a bit dated, yes, but its charm, bold ideas, and iconic performances make it unforgettable. Voyager and Enterprise often sit in the middle of most rankings. They both have loyal fans, but also uneven writing. Voyager had standout characters like Seven of Nine and the Doctor. Enterprise struggled early, but found its voice later, especially in its final season. Discovery is tricky. It's visually stunning and full of ambition, but its tone and writing have been divisive. Some love the emotional arcs and future setting. Others miss the traditional Trek style. Picard is also a mixed bag. Season 3 was fantastic and full of nostalgia, but seasons 1 and 2 left many fans confused or disappointed. Overall, it ends on a high note, but the journey was bumpy. As for the films, the classics still hold strong. Star Trek II. The Wrath of Khan is widely considered the best Star Trek movie ever made. It's emotional, exciting, and full of heart. Other strong entries include The Undiscovered Country, First Contact, and Star Trek 2009. On the weaker side, Star Trek, Nemesis, and Star Trek V. The Final Frontier are often seen as low points. They had potential, but failed to deliver on story and character. The Kelvin timeline film Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness, and Beyond are visually exciting but polarizing. Some fans love the energy. Others feel they lack the depth of classic Trek. Still, they helped bring in a new generation of viewers. Lower Decks has become a fan favorite over time. What started as a joke turned into one of the most heartfelt celebrations of Star Trek fandom. It respects the canon, honors the history, and makes you laugh at the same time. Prodigy, while aimed at kids, surprised many with its quality. It serves as a perfect gateway for younger fans, while also giving longtime fans something to enjoy. So, where does that leave us in 2025? Star Trek is more alive than ever. It's growing, evolving, and finding new ways to tell stories. From serious dramas to silly comedies, from prequels to far future adventures, there's something for everyone. Some entries will always rise to the top, like The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Strange New Worlds. Others may be remembered for their ambition, even if they didn't always succeed. And still, others might not be your favorite, but they all added to the galaxy we love. In the end, ranking Star Trek isn't just about best or worst. It's about remembering the journey, the lessons, and the hope that this franchise has given millions of people for nearly 60 years. Whether you're watching Kirk battle the Gorn, Picard outthink the Borg, Sisko fight for Bajor, Janeway lead her crew home, or Burnham jump into the future, every Star Trek story is part of something bigger. Something that says, no matter how dark space gets, there's always light, there's always hope, and there's always a better future waiting, if we're brave enough to seek it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Star Trek, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow fans, and subscribe for more content like this. And tell us in the comments, what's your favorite Star Trek series or movie? And which one disappointed you the most?